My name is Franz-Josef Brueggemeier. I'm a professor of history at the University of Freiburg, which is in the west of Germany, near the Swiss border. As a professor, I cover the last 250 years, mainly Germany and Europe, but also the history of the environment. And that's why I'm here at the Rachel Carson Center. I've been here for a year to do work on my book. My research topic at the Rachel Carson Center is, as I said, it's a book, and the book will give a sort of a fairly broad overview of development concerning the environment in Germany over the last 250 years. That is, it will look at development, it will look at movement, it will look at ideas, it will look at politics. And so this cover fairly many different aspects to do with the environment in a very general way. One of the major differences over the last 250 years has been that let's call them forces of nature, or nature as an agent, or nature as something which influences our daily life, has changed enormously. It's difficult to say when exactly industrialization started, but most people would say about 1750, 80, 1800 we didn't really have industrialization. So it's like a pre-industrial society, which in Germany was very similar to the one in most other European countries. But if you look at Germany, you had a society where natural forces, which are difficult to describe precisely, but it's the weather, the climate, influence daily life enormously. But not only the weather, but also you didn't have artificial light, so you woke up in the morning and depended upon what nature offered, whether it was dark or light. You couldn't really heat homes, or it was extremely difficult. You couldn't conserve food and meals, so you had to live in some sort of symbiosis with what nature offered or allowed you to do. And I'm looking at how these developments or how these factors change over time, and how it came that we now live in a world where we live in, let's say, sort of artificial surroundings. We do have electricity, we do have almost everything we need, which nature on its own doesn't provide. We have to sort of like create it. Nowadays, or at least for the last 50 years, we have been used to live in a life where nature doesn't really influence. Of course, we know when it's raining, but it's more a nuisance. It doesn't really affect us a great deal. Or the weather or climate, winter, summer, we live in houses where we can really regulate whatever we want. We can achieve the climate we want. And this is fairly new. It hasn't happened until, let's say, after the Second World War. We are talking about environmental history, and here I would see one of the less established areas to actually look at nature as an agent, as nature which actually does something on its own, which influences us greatly, and how these influences have changed over time. We have to be more aware of us and the environment and nature as being separate, sort of, on the one hand, separate identities, but at the same time working closely together, and that the way we cooperate or live side by side, mostly we live side by side, then we interact, and sometimes one factor is stronger than the other, to develop a better understanding of these forces and how they interact and sometimes coexist and sometimes sort of are more like enemies to each other, because there are elements of nature which we don't like, and of course there are ways of us behaving which nature doesn't like. So I think to see it from both, or as many points of view as possible, that would be what I hope for.